So hey guys, it's Victor James. Hopefully you've been liking these videos. If you're new, subscribe and follow and click the little bell for notifications. I'll be posting a new video from the Ableton Masterclass every few days. So make sure you also bookmark our Ableton Live Masterclass playlist right here on YouTube. All right, so this is the second video on sound cards. So this is if you're using a bigger sound card, like say my favorite X-Air sound card slash digital mixing board slash everything else you need. And remember, these have Midas pre's. So, and they are actual Midas pre's. Even if Behringer says designed by Midas, I've actually know the guys at Behringer, and this is the exact same board that Midas releases, except for it says Midas instead of X-Air. And the only difference is the firmware. Change the firmware out and you have a Midas board. So the preamps are Midas pre's. They're not just designed by Midas. And the firmware that Behringer has is great. I love their compressors. I love their equalizers. I love everything. This thing has everything in it. And so what you need basically to set this setup is you need a multiple output, which this one gives you 18 inputs. You have 16 to here, and then you have 17, 18 right there, and then you have six auxiliary outputs, and then your main right and left. So basically you have 8 outputs. So this basically gives you 18 in and 8 out. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to, if you want to get a lot of the other instruments out to your sound guy, or maybe you just have something like this and you have your band plugged in, but you want to be able to have control from your iPad, because this thing actually goes is Wi-Fi. It's got its own Wi-Fi built in it, which is right here. This little Wi-Fi, and I have my iPad connected to this, and you can either do that or you can run it off of your X-Air app right here, and you'd have to have your Wi-Fi connected to your big mixing board, which mine's FOJC X18. That's my Wi-Fi for my mixer. And then I would actually open up the app on the computer and have it that way. Or also for a backup, in case you're in a room that that Wi-Fi is just not working out, you have a LIN line that comes out of this. So you can plug your LIN line either directly into your computer and not use wireless, just set it up so the LIN line is connected to it. Or you can get a more powerful modem, something that's that's a little more expensive than the modem comes on it, and you can plug this LIN, come out of this LIN line into your modem, and then route that modem from there, so you can have more devices. But with this app, you can also put this app on your iPhone too as well. So you can have your main mixer guy control the house mix with this, and then with your iPhone you call up an app on there, and then you can control just your monitor mix. So say if you guys are running in-ears, which that's what this is an in-ear unit, wireless in-ear, Carbon. Let me bring this up here. You can see Carbon in-ear. Okay, here's the body pack over here, or one of them, and then, basically with your iPhone app, your drummer can control his own headphone mix. So usually what we do is I have iPhones that are for no other use than just on-stage monitors. So I got little cheap iPhone 4s, and I put Velcro on the back of them, and I stick in the mic stands, and then we can actually control our own in-ear mix from the app. And basically what that is on the app right here. If I'm not going to totally get into how this board works. I'm more going to get into showing you how to set up multiple outputs, but just for a little bit, like if you are using this is your main mix, and then say our drummer is in auxiliary 1, which that's what this is going to. So I have the output of auxiliary 1 feeding the input of the in-ear monitor, and then his mix right here would be on bus 1. If I click on bus 1, any channel he has, so that's our music, that would go to his in-ears. This is our click track that I've set up, and I'll get into how I set that up in a second. you'd have that, say this is your bass guitar, and that's your rhythm guitar, and you know, drums or whatever, and then maybe, you know, your vocals. Now you can have all that. That's his own particular mix. So say bus 2 is your singer's in-ear monitors, which would come out of here, bus 2, and then into another unit like this, or like this unit, you can actually have 1 going into input 1 and 2 going into input 2, and then make this stereo, and that way you have, and I have 2 body packs, and 1 would be a mix for input 1, and 1 would be a mix for input 2, so you'd actually have 2 things. But say, just for shits and giggles, you have, you know, your singer has a monitor mix on her in-ears, and she wants that come out of auxiliary 2 and into another unit like this. This is auxiliary 2. Well, her mix would be right here on bus 2, and you can rename these too. You know, there's a tutorial online that shows you how to rename all this stuff and rename your tracks and that kind of stuff. I'm not going to get into that, but basically now on her mix, you'd go through, and you can see it's all flat. If I go back to the drummer's mix, this is the drummer's mix, and it's all different. And then if I go over to the singer's mix, it's all flat, and I have to remix that. So I give her a little bit of music. She don't want any click, keep the click out, and give her some guitar and bass and drums and backup vocals or whatever. Now that's going into her in-ear. And then with her on her own iPhone app, she can actually adjust that, you know, the volumes on her own without asking you, hey, turn up this. She can just call up her app and say, I want a little more backup vocals, a little more blah, blah, and it looks just basically like this, but a little more simpler on your phone. Anyhow, that's just getting into the logistics of this particular unit. But pretty much most digital mixers that have Wi-Fi capability are pretty much set up the exact same way. And that's how we're going to set it up. So right now I'm going to go back to mains, and I'm going to scroll back over here to, we have our music going to 1 and 2. So these 2 channels right here, you wouldn't want to plug anything into live, because this is what our music is coming out of. Even though nothing's plugged into this, because this is also a USB sound card, I have this set to USB in right there. See, I have it clicked on USB. I'd have mic in or USB, and I clicked it over to USB because I want the USB to send the signal to the sound card for these 2 channels, for these 3 channels actually, because I had to click on that channel. So for right now, then we're going to get into routing more songs to more outputs. First thing we'll do is take the mixing board, or you know, the XAir or your multiple out mixing board, and you plug your USB in, and then plug it into the computer, and then let's go and set it up. So now we're going to go over here to Ableton, and we are going to go to Ableton and Preferences. I know that Windows is a little different. Preferences isn't located under Ableton, it's located under something else. So basically what you want to do though is find your preferences on Mac, so that's where preferences would be at. And I'm going to go here to Audio Sound Card, and this is going to come up again like this with no sound card activated. So we're going to go here and we're going to pull that down, and I can see right here is my sound card, the XAR18. That's going to be my input device, and then I'm going to do it again for my output. Okay, now I'm going to go over here to Output Configuration, and I'm going to click on this, and these will probably be all grayed out like this, you know. And basically what you want to do is you want to turn them, you want to take it from that, or this will probably just have the 1 and 2 in, and you want to turn them all yellow. So we're going to click on all of them, get them all back to being yellow. Now we have access to all your outputs. And then you watch the other video before this, it'll explain why you need to activate these, because you won't see them on your pull down window if they're not activated. And now we're going to take that like that. We're going to close that. And so let's go to the basic setup right now. Right now we're going to go music coming out 1 and 2, and your click is going to be coming out 3. And you can put the click on whatever channel you want. Just right now I just have the click on 3. So I'm using 1, 2, and 3. And with the XAir, it's always good to have your music coming out 1 and 2, just because the first 2 preamps are set up different. I'm not quite sure what the logistics are, but they don't have the mic, something to do with the mic gain that the rest of the tracks have, because they're kind of set up for that purpose. So we're going to have the music coming out 1 and 2. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my master output, and all I need to do is make sure that master output is on 1 and 2. If you do want to change this and say the music, you want the music to come out 15 and 16, or maybe 17 and 18, then what you'd do is you would pull this down, and I would go like 17 and 18. So now the music's coming out 17 and 18. But because the way I have it set up, I'm going to do it on 1 and 2. But that's what you would do. Do the same thing I'm going to show you on setting up the app and setting up the USB to hear from USB and not from mic input, except for you do it on whichever channels you want. All right, so I'm going to go for 1 and 2. That basically you send a stereo mix to the house. Call it my app back here again. Make sure I got noise. Yeah. All right, so everything is going to 1 and 2. I'm going to have my click. I want that to come out channel 3. So everything coming from the click, I only want it to feed channel 3. So I'm going to pull that down. I'm going to go right down here, and I'm going to click on channel 3 because that's what I'm choosing to send it to the mixer. All right, now on this particular unit, I have to activate these channels as USB. So what I do is on these little squares right here on the app, I would click on that, wait till it calls up, scroll back over these, scroll back and forth on, or you can access from here, input, send, gain, you know, that's your, our gate, I'm sorry, dynamic, here's your compressor, EQ, insert, that's your effects, and then presets, that you can call up presets. But I'm going to go to input, and I am going to, on 1 and 2, because that's where my music's going to come out, I want those links. So if I move this up and down, right now you can see how they move together. If I click unlink, I'm going to click yes, unlink. Now 1 moves on its own, 2 moves on its own. So I'm gonna go to, I'm on channel 1 because you can see the little blue thing is around there. I'm gonna click link. It's gonna ask me yes, so I want to link those. I'm gonna click yes. All right, now if I move this up and down, now those are linked. So that's my 1 and 2. That's where my music's going to come out of. All right, and then on the input too, I also, this will normally be on mic right here. You can see if we get that a little better shot. It'll only be on mic. And what you want to do is you want to move that over to USB because we want music to come out that. Anything that is going to be getting music from the DAW, you want to be on USB. And on other rack mount multi-output, you have to look at your manual for that to see how that actually works. But I'm sure it probably just automatically sends it. But on this particular board, you need to send that to USB. So now if I hit this and click play, and I go back over here to mains, and my mains are up. Now if I turn up the mains, I'm going to get music. I'm going to do the same thing with the click, and I already have the click set up, but I'm going to set it up again for you guys. So I want the click for right now to come out 3. So I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to click on 3, and I'm going to scroll back over to here. And you don't need it linked because I don't want 3 and 4 to link together. So this will normally be set on mic, and we want to move that little over to USB. On if you're using an Android, that's going to be a button that you press and not a slider. It'll be a little, the app's a little bit different, but the same thing. You want the USB to be active. So now you can see my click is coming out 3. And like from the previous video that shows you basically how the sends work on the click, same thing on this one. Nothing's changed. It's the sends still control the mix for 3. All right, but now that we have this set, what we're going to do is we're going to leave 3 down all the time because we don't want 3 to be sent to the house. So, and you don't want to mute it because if you mute it, it'll also mute what's going to the auxiliaries, at least on this unit alone. So we're not going to mute that. We're going to leave that alone. We're just going to make sure that at no time this comes up. It'll always stay down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set up the mix for our drummer. So we're going to have our drummer come out of auxiliary 1 of the mixer. So we have, like I said, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 outs. 8 outs. I'm sorry, 8 outs. So 1 through 6, and then we also have right and left main. All right. So I'm going to do is we're going to come out of this in-ear monitor, and we're going to go into the wireless headset. Now this you can also set this up if you don't have a wireless headset. You know, you'd do is you'd basically with this particular setup, you'd get like one of those a little Behringer board that has a mic input. It could be a 1 input Behringer board. Plug that into the Behringer board, then take a set of headphones, plug them into the headphone jack, and put those on. So there you go. And you're all set up for your drummer's click. You could probably also come out of your headphones. So I've never actually done it that way, but I'm sure if you look at tutorials, it'll show you how to route it into headphones. But this is the easiest way. I'd go into that, into a Behringer board, or just directly into a wireless in-ear monitor system like this. So I'm going in the in-ear monitor system. Here's my in-ear, and instead of having this plugged into in-ears, I actually have them plugged into little tiny speakers over here. You can barely see. I can see that camera. Little tiny speakers. So from an old PC. Anyhow, you can see that's right there. I have them plugged in at. They go on the speaker. So I'm going to turn this on and turn my volume up. So now if I go over to my bus, so this bus 1 is going to be my drummer's mix for his in-ears. And so remember, mains, this is the main screen. My mains are off right now. So the only thing we're going to hear is what's coming out of our drummer's headphones, which are the little stereo speakers I have. So I'm going to go over here to bus. I'm going to give him some click. All right, the drummer's here and the click, good. So you can mix his in-ears by these sends right here and get him the way he wants. 1, 2, 3, 4. At least to start off with. And then now that's his, that's it, that's his whole mix. And then you can go if he wants some lead vocals. If you have everything going into this board, you can give him some lead vocals or whatever. Say lead vocals on this channel and bring it up. Now he's got lead vocals going in if you have everything mixing to that board. But for right now, all he needs is that channel up, and he can have his iPhone app with that one channel on there, and it'll bring it up and down however loud he wants it. All right, so now we're going to go back to our mains. And now if we bring our mains back up, not hearing any click out the mains. It's only coming out the mains. But if I turn the mains back down, there's a drummer setup. All right. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go 3, 4, and we're going to set up our multiple outs. So this one's going to be a little bit different because I don't have a ton of speakers hooked up to multiple outs, so you're just going to have to take my word that it's working. but it does work. So if I was run this to another mixing board, I would basically take channel 1 or this. I would leave that as our click for our drummer. That would be his monitor. If you're a band, then you'd probably have a couple other sends here for your monitors, and those would be your mains. So you can actually send like 3 out. But we're going to say you're using this board just for sending multiple outs. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go down to our percussion, and I'm going to go right here where it says master. We're going to change that to external out. All right, and then we're going to change that from right here to our outputs, and we are going to go down to, we're going to put our percussion on track 4. So I'm going to put that out 4. All right. And then I'm going to go over here and go out on this, and I'm going to take this track, and I'm going to put bass on, say, 5, and I'm going to take keyboards, and I'm going to go out and put that on 6, and I'm going to put these horns, external out, and I'm going to go on to 7. Now I know we have more outs in this, but let me get these set up and I'll explain why. And then I'm going to go here and put that on 8, and backup vocals on 9. All right, so now on the Behringer, what we would do is we would basically, if you're using the Behringer, what we would do is basically go to all these channels. So I'm going to go here to 4. I'm going to move this over, and I'm going to make that USB. And then I'm going to go to my next channel here, and I'm going to turn that to USB. I don't need phantom power on. And I'm going to go to my next channel, make that USB, 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 come down, and USB. So let me play one of these, make sure they're all getting signal.
Intro 2, 3, 4.
All right, so I'm going to send the drums to 1 and 2. And then now we have nothing that's going to the master output. It's all being controlled by their own individual outs. So now I can actually go through here. And if you have something like this, then actually all you have to do is hand your sound guy this, and he can control everything just by using wireless, you know, or he can actually reroute them to there. So if I click on here now, come through. So here's the drums by themselves, and this is all being controlled by this. Now I'll bring in some bass. Hold on. I gotta put vocals on their own track. So now, got drums. There's drums, bass. You got other guitar. And if we come over here to track 10, I gotta make sure that's USB.
Cover me with kisses, babe.
So anyhow, I have the lead vocal,
Roll me.
backup vocal,
Sheets, I'll never get it all. Emotions, I don't know
So now I just set all those to basically 1 through 9, all the backing tracks. So basically 1 through 9 is full of backing tracks, and I mixed them all off this pad. So if you're, you know, if you had it set up like this, you could actually just send these two right to your front of house mixer if he had his own, another mixing board, and then just hand the sound guy this, so he could say, okay, you can mix all your backing tracks off of here, you know, if you want, and you don't have to feed your board any other channels. You can just have an iPad for backing tracks and the mixing board for the band. Okay, if you have a rack mount version of sound card with 8 outs or 16 outs or whatever, and it doesn't have a Wi-Fi, basically what you do is you would do the exact same thing we just did here, send them to the outs, and they would just automatically come out those outs of your sound card. So, you know, your out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so forth. You just hook mic cords in those, run them to your board, the mixing board out front, and he would have control over all those. Hopefully that makes sense what I'm saying. On this one, what you would do, if you go with like the X Air, and you wanted to run individual outs to a different soundboard, what you would do is basically you'd go through here and say, okay, I want bus 2, and you'd basically, the same way we had a mix for your drummer, we would set up a mix for that out. So on say bus 2, I click on bus 2 on the app, and I would say, let me get all these down. You know, bus 2, I just want the drums to go to bus 2. So I basically hit that, and I would just turn the drums up, and that's all that we send out bus 2. So and then I just get it to a nice level where the sound guy is getting a peak, and that's where I'd leave that at, and wouldn't touch it again. And then on your mains, you just turn that all the way down to nothing, and that way it's not coming out 1 and 2. You just turn all these down to nothing, and you're only basically controlling volumes from your buses. And that's on this particular board. Like I said, if you have a rack mount version that's just like an 8 in, 8 out or whatever, You don't got to do any of this. All you got to do is just assign the outputs to which output you want to come out the sound card, run XLRs out of your XLR outputs right into the soundboard, and you're good to go. All right, let's just do a quick wrap up. Okay, on your on Ableton, if you're using a multi-out sound card, the first thing, like I said, you want to do is you go to Live and Preferences. If you're running a PC, it's not Live and Preferences, it's something else, but you can also just go to it by going over here and clicking on the output and clicking on Configure, and it'll open up your audio preferences. You want to choose your sound card and then go to Outputs. We want to choose your sound card on the input device. So we want the X-Air, and on the output device, we want the X-Air. If you're using some other kind of sound card, choose that sound card. And then you want to click on Outputs. Make sure every single one of those is highlighted on yellow and not gray. So you just click it, make sure it's not gray. If you're doing stereo out to house, front of house, and a click, then basically what you do is just have all these, all your instruments on master like that. So all the instruments would be on master, and you would send your master out to 1 and 2, 3 or 4, whichever stereo master you want to send it out on that sound card. But basically, I'm going to send mine out to 1 and 2. So all your instruments and backup vocals and all that kind of stuff are on master. Your click is, I have it on, you leave it on send only. You never have to touch these. That'll go right over here to this click monitor. And that click monitor I have on 3. And you would select it on whichever output you are choosing for your output to monitor for your drummer. And then that output, that click output, would go from the board or your sound card into either a set of in-ears or another little sub mixer that he could adjust the volume of the click himself. And so now if you're going to send multiple outs to your sound guy, if you're not, if you just have a multiple out rack mount and not an actual digital mixer that's a sound card, so there's just, then you would basically go over here and you change the master to external out, and on whatever tracks you want to send that's not going out the master 1 and 2. So and then you would go to the pull down of out and change that from 1 and 2 to whatever track, whatever output you desire to send to the main. So if I wanted percussion to go out, say 7, I would just change it to 7, and now the output is going out of channel 7 of my multiple out. But if you decide to go with something like the X-Air, I would the way I would run the X-Air is I would only send the front of house 2 outs, right and left out, and then I would actually, if the sound guy wants to be able to have control over each channel of the DAW, I would send them to the channels, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you know, and then click on another channel, and then hand him the iPad across the room, and this would be control of Ableton, and then he'd have your house soundboard wherever that's at, and he can control your house soundboard there. Okay, that's your sound card setup. Getting the click to the drummer, the music to where it's supposed to be, whether you're using a 4-out sound card or you're using a multiple out sound card, and how to set it up, how to get going on that so you can perform the way you want to perform. Either have your sound guy out there controlling your stuff or you control your stuff. Either way, that is the full setup of either a basic sound card or a multiple out sound card. All right, so that's it for this module. We're going to see you on the next one. The next module is about how to mix your songs in Ableton.